We're live. Shalom. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatah. You know what? Let me take this bull. Oh, don't need that. Don't need this. Don't need hand sanitizer. Don't need any all-purpose Lysol. Don't need a box of gloves. You know why? Because the greatest safety tip for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to stay safe during this coronavirus crisis, this coronavirus epidemic, this COVID-19 plaguing the world, is for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to obey the laws of God. And when you obey the laws of God, you won't need gloves, you won't need face masks, you won't need hand sanitizer. You won't have to wash hands 20 to 30 times a day after touching the fridge, then the microwave, then the toaster, then going outside, then shopping, then touching your keys to your door, then touching your doorknob, then touching the elevator buttons in your building, then touching then touching your garbage bag to put a new one in the garbage can. You won't need any of that garbage. All right. So we are I.S.U.P.K, Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General YAHANNA. And since 1969, we've been teaching blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans all across the globe that the one thing we need to do is to obey the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. Now, for everyone that's watching in the Hudson Valley, whether it's Rockland County, Spring Valley, Pomona, West Nyack, Haverstraw, West Haverstraw, Nanuet, all the way down to Palisades, West Nyack, Suffern, Airmont, or you're in Orange County, Harriman, Monroe, Newburgh, whether you're in Dutchess County, whether you're in Usula County, Westchester County, Mount Vernon, Yonkers, wherever you are, if you're Black, Hispanic, or Native American, man, woman, or child living in the Hudson Valley, you shouldn't have to worry about using these things and making sure you restock and having to go bum rush stores and wait in line and stay 6 feet away from each other if we only obey the law, statutes, and commandments like God. Now, to all the brothers that are watching, Shalom, Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai Barakatah. To my sisters, Yahweh Shema Alatham B'Hashem Yashai. This is the No Cowards Hudson Valley Israelite Facebook and YouTube page, where we have been sent out to the Hudson Valley to go wake up the Lord's people, to go wake up all so-called Hispanics, all so-called Native Americans. And today is Wednesday, so that means this is the law class. And the greatest safety tip that you can use and practice in your life and in your family's lives during this coronavirus outbreak and crisis is to obey the laws of God. And that's what we're going to get into today, all right? Can I first get Luke chapter 12, verse 5, all right? We're going to start in the New Testament, Luke chapter 12, verse 5, because everyone is so fearful of this coronavirus. Everyone is like bum rushing stores, running to Walmart, running to Costco, buy all types of face masks, trying to buy all types of apparatuses to make sure that they stay safe. 2.5 millimeter face mask, 3 millimeter face mask. They need to get the N95 respirator mask or the Chinese KN95 respirator mask, or they want to get a blue surgical mask or some piece of shit green mask. You know, they need to go get Lysol, the can, because it says human coronavirus on the back of it. They want to go get all types of Lysol wipes and all this nonsense and fearing the Lord. Because if you ever was sent to go free the Israelite people, so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, way back in ancient times, and God sent plagues to devastate and destroy Egypt, which none affected the nation of Israel. While blood was flowing in the river, Israel was fine. While hail was coming from the sky, from the earth at the same time, Israel was fine. While the firstborn of everything that was Egyptian was dying, Israel was fine. When there was boils on the skins of all the Africans, the Egyptians, Israel was fine. That's because we cried out to the Lord and we were trying to obey the Lord, freed from this oppression. So what makes you think that obeying the law, statutes, and commandments now won't protect you or save you or spare you, your family, your loved ones from the plague called the coronavirus that the Most High sent to devastate the earth? What makes you think it won't happen again? Instead of fearing not having Lysol, instead of fearing not having gloves to use while opening your mail, instead of fearing not having your 3M Avant-Garde hand sanitizer, you know, instead of fearing not being able to get your N95 respirator mask, you should fear the Lord. Can you read this verse, please?
This is Luke 12 and 5. But I will forewarn you, cast into hell.
Now, the scripture says you're going to be told who you should fear. You should fear him, that which after he kills you, he has the power to cast you into hell. He has the power to destroy your life, has the power to bring you back to earth with a missing leg, bring you back to earth afflicted with some type of disease or some type of birth defect or mental disorder that has the ability to put you in harsh poverty. Don't fear some virus that may or may not that may or may not affect your respiratory system, that may or may not cause fever, that may or may not cause extreme diarrhea or cold sweats or fatigue or what's the other one? Sore throats. Don't fear that virus. You should fear the Lord. The Lord is the one that sent the coronavirus. I know there's a lot of conspiracy theories. Oh, we got it from the Chinese because they were eating bats and then they were spreading it. China and Russia and Iran are saying that the U.S. military sent athletes over there to China, to Wuhan in October, and they were infected and then infected the village of Wuhan or whatever. Listen, all that's bull. The real thing is the Lord is the one that allowed that to happen. So whether it was a man-made virus, the Lord allowed that virus to be created and spread. Whether it's a virus that is passed from eating bats, drop that and go to Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 39. Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 39. I'm going to give all of you a few moments to get there, all right? Because everyone is so scared. Listen, you should fear the Lord. There's people that I have a grandmother that lives in Rockland County, and she don't live the house. She don't drive. She's elderly. She don't go outside. The only time she goes outside is to feed the stray cats. She puts food in a bowl and puts the bowl out. She has coronavirus. My mom, who's a nurse, working around patients that may or may not have coronavirus, she doesn't have the coronavirus. My stepfather just been diagnosed with coronavirus. I know several people that live in homeless shelters that have coronavirus, and the person that they sleep next to and the other bunk doesn't have coronavirus. Listen, the Lord is the reason why our people are getting coronavirus. The Lord is the reason why the news and the CDC and WHO are stating and pushing that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the ones being affected the most by the coronavirus, and rightfully so. Because instead of us obeying the law, statute, and commandment of God, and only letting the so-called white man get the coronavirus and die from it, instead of letting Africans get the coronavirus and dying from it, instead of it spreading all over China and killing the Chinese, we decided that we want to partake in this plague. We decided that we want to be part of the Lord's wrath and his anger and die from the plague that he's spreading all across the earth. You got that?
Answer.
Read
32 and 30, Deuteronomy 32 and 39. See now that I, even I am he, and there is no power with me. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. There is neither any that can deliver out of my hand.
Listen, Donald Trump cannot save you. Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York, he cannot save you. The executive directors, the executive county directors of Rockton, Westchester, Orange County, they cannot save you. No amount of stimulus checks that should be deposited into bank accounts is going to save you. Listen, the Lord said there is no God with him. There's no Buddha. There's no Allah. There's no white Jesus. There's no baby Jesus 3 months old laying in a sack of hay. There's none of that garbage. The Lord said he is alone. He kills. So if you die from the coronavirus, it's because the Lord wanted you to die, because you have been disobeying him for so long and have been getting away with it. Excuse me. Now it's your time to pay up.
Right.
If you get the coronavirus and you don't die, the Lord wanted to punish you and have you suffer in hopes that after you recover, you would fear him and do what he wants you to do. If you don't get the coronavirus, don't think the Lord just miraculously skipped over you. Maybe the Lord punishing you another way by making your mother get the coronavirus and you suffering, having to watch your mother breathe heavily for hours on, day upon day. Maybe the Lord wanted you to witness your dad, your sister, your auntie, all living in the same house, die hours apart from each other and having to put them in ice trucks because they can't bury them at this moment. So don't think that just because you don't have the coronavirus doesn't mean that you're spared. The Lord could be punishing you in all different types of ways. So what you need to do is fear the Lord, because the Lord kills. And he's killing Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans with this coronavirus. He's getting everyone all worked up and worried that you have to stay 6 feet apart. You can't celebrate your wicked church services or Easter Sunday services or wicked birthdays. The Lord has made it possible so that way he's forcing you to either obey him and fear him or die. He makes alive all those people in the I.S.U.P.K who are serving the Lord and striving to be perfect and striving to please the Most High God. I have not yet heard of not one member in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge that has gotten COVID-19. I have not heard of any man, woman, or child in the I.S.U.P.K under commanding General YAHANNA taking correction and discipline and chastisement from the men of the Lord to get their souls straight, to get what they can do to serve the Lord. I have read an article of how a Christian pastor just died after he was told not to have church services. I've heard of a whole families die in a matter of weeks. I've heard of whole communities filling up hospitals, dying. I've heard of people having to put their dead loved ones in the bedrooms and close the door shut. The water, appreciate you, warrior, and close the door shut because they're dead and they're decomposing in that room because of COVID-19, because of the coronavirus. But as for this house, we shall serve the Lord. And the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. We're serving the Lord. And we know that the Lord is the only one that can kill. The Lord is the only one that can allow you to die, whether it's from murder, robbery, accident, or whether it's you dying and suffering from the COVID-19. That's the Lord's will. You being alive, that's the Lord's will. All right. And no one, not Allah, not Krishna, not Buddha, not baby Jesus, 3 pounds, 3 months old, blue eyes in the manger. No fake God. No Borican, Atebe, Mother Atebea, whatever you want to call it. None of that garbage is going to save you. But what will save you is fearing the Lord. Can you drop that and give me Romans chapter 6, verse 23? And for all of you that decide that you want to keep celebrating birthdays, that you want to keep sleeping with whores, that you want to keep making OnlyFans me pages or whatever, and shaking your behind and showing your breast or your vagina for money. And all of you that want to keep smoking cigarettes, all of you that want to keep smoking weed and saying it's okay to make edibles, you're going to die. You will die. Someone that you know will die. You will suffer. You will have to watch someone you love and care for and hold dear to suffer and die from the coronavirus because you are disgusting sinners. Because you all have been told what time and time again what you all need to do, which is to follow the Lord's statutes and commandments. Read.
There's Romans 6 and 23. For the wages of sin is death, but the gift of the Most High is eternal life through YAHANNA our Lord.
Say that one more time, Baba Shah.
For the wages of sin is death.
The what?
The wages of sin is death.
For the wages of sin is death. All right? For all of you that want to keep on sinning, the cost of sinning is death. And that is what happens when you decide to celebrate birthdays. That's what happens when you decide you want to go out and smoke cigarettes. That's what happens when you want to go out and shave your face and your beard. That's what happens when you want to go and cross-dress. That's what happens when you want to engage in the LGBT community. The wages of sin is death. Drop that. Let me get Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. I'll give you all a few moments to get there. Whenever you got it, all right?
Deuteronomy 28 and 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Most High, thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So right here it's saying in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15, that if we did not, if so-called black, so-called Hispanic, so-called Native Americans did not decide to hearken, did not decide to listen carefully and do and to keep and practice and always pass down these laws, statutes, and commandments that God gave to us, we would be cursed. We would be plagued with all these curses and we would suffer. And that's exactly what's happening to the Black, Hispanic, and Native American communities all over the globe because we decide not to obey the voice of the Lord, because we decide not to hearken diligently, because we decided not to keep, observe, and obey the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God. And let me give you some of these curses. Maybe some of them will resonate with you. Let me get the 21st verse, Baba Kasha.
21. The Most High shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee, until he have consumed thee from off the land, whither thou goest to possess it.
Pestilence. What's pestilence? Pestilence is disease, sickness. And what's COVID-19? Pestilence. What's the coronavirus? Pestilence. Because we decided not to obey these laws, statutes, and commandments, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are suffering from this pestilence called the coronavirus. Whether you're in Rockland County, Westchester County, Orange County, Dutchess County, Putnam County, anywhere in the Hudson Valley, if you're suffering from this pestilence called COVID-19, you have to stay in your house. You have to be 6 feet apart from each other. You're now being ordered to wear face masks whenever you go outside. You're having to worry and stand in long waiting lines just to enter into the supermarket, just to go get tested and see whether or not you have coronavirus. You're waiting for the results. You are being plagued by this pestilence called the coronavirus. Khan.
Mentioned supermarkets. I didn't mention this earlier, but yeah, de Blasio, the mayor, said anybody in New York City specifically, what's called, if you go into a grocery store, you must have on a face mask.
Yeah, you have to. And this pestilence is destroying the Black and Hispanic community, destroying the Native American community, right? And all we had to do to spare ourselves from COVID-19, to spare ourselves from this pestilence called the coronavirus, was to adhere and hearken diligently, to observe, to obey, to do the Lord's law, statutes, and commandments. Drop that. Let me go to verse 54. Deuteronomy, verse 54.
Verse 54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and towards the remnant of his children, which he shall leave.
Now, all these Black, Hispanic, and Native American brothers out there, they have become evil towards their brother. Right. They're committing crimes right now at a higher rate. They're robbing each other at a higher rate. They're killing each other at a higher rate. I'm always hearing about a new murder, a new killing, a new robbery, a new burglary that our Black, Hispanic, and Native American men are doing to one another. That how they're treating their wives, how the man lost his job, the woman lost her job, and now the man is telling his woman, listen, I need you to go shake your behind on OnlyFans Me or Fans Only Me, or make some type of account where you can shake your behind and show your breasts and show us having sex so people can pay us, so we can make money. I'm hearing about how all these Black, Hispanic, and Native American men are being so evil towards their kids, towards their sons, towards their daughters. And you know why? Because since we don't have a moral code to live by, since we decided not to obey the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments, we don't know how to take care of one another. We don't know how to love one another. We don't know how that brotherhood and sisterhood is one of the greatest things that we need during this COVID-19 epidemic. How we need to be looking out for one another instead of destroying each other. Drop that. Let me get the 56th verse.
56. The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground, for delicateness and tenderness. Her eye shall be evil towards the husband of her bosom, and towards her son, and towards her daughter.
Listen, our women used to be so bad and so righteous when they obeyed the law, statutes, and commandments that they wouldn't even want to touch the ground and walk on the ground. However, since they're filthy, disgusting sinners, because we decided to be filthy, disgusting sinners, because we decided not to obey the law, statutes, and commandments. Now our women's are towards their husbands, are evil towards their daughters, are evil towards their sons. You know how? By that woman stepping out on that man. Listen, I lost my job. My husband lost his job. I need some money. And this guy over here in apartment 6A said that if I let him pound me out, he'll toss me $150. That $150 I could use to go buy some food. Listen, my son and my daughter, the neighbor next door likes my little daughter. He said if I let him sleep with my daughter, he'll give me some drugs that I need because I'm a dope fiend, I'm a crack fiend, I'm a heroin fiend, and also give me some money. My son, if I could just do the same thing with my son, I'll get some money. Our women are just as disgusting and corrupt and vile as our men because we no longer want to adhere and obey the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments. All right? Let's go to verse 66.
66. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have none assurance of thy life.
Because we decided that we didn't want to obey the Lord and obey his laws, statutes, and commandments, we're scared of COVID-19. It says, thy life shall hang in doubt before thee. We don't know when we'll be able to go back to work.
Right.
We don't know when our children will be able to go back to school. I don't know when I'll be able to get some money to go to the grocery store to buy some food, to cook some food. I don't know when my electricity might get cut off because I don't have a job to pay the bill. I don't know when my gas might get cut off because I don't have a job to pay the gas bill and I can't cook. I don't know when this is going to end. I don't know when I'll be allowed to go outside, when my children will be allowed to go outside and play in the playground. I have to be stuck in the house with my family 24/7, losing my goddamn mind because my children, instead of being at school from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., they're running amok inside the house, drawing on the walls with crayons and permanent markers, putting towels and their underwear in the toilet and flushing the toilet, flooding the toilet. They're letting the water run all day long. They're eating all the food. They're not rationing the food because they don't know how to, because they're kids. Listen, my life hangs in doubt. You shall fear day and night. I don't know if someone's going to break into my house at night and take all my toilet paper that I just bought from Costco. Because right now, toilet paper is a hot commodity. Toilet paper is like wearing Jordans. If you don't have toilet paper, you're not surviving. I don't know if someone's going to break into my house during the night and take all my Lysol spray and take all the masks that I bought for me, myself, and my family. I don't know what's going to happen during the day. Will I wake up one day and there not be enough Enfamil in the fridge to feed my little baby? I don't know if I'm going to wake up during the day in the morning and find out my husband has coronavirus. Your life will hang in doubt and shall have none assurance of thy life. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know whether the stimulus check that is going to come today, tomorrow, 6 months from now. Right. You don't know if the debt collectors are going to take your stimulus check. You don't know nothing. You don't know if you're going to go to a testing facility and be positive or negative for coronavirus. You don't know if you're going to get a phone call and say that your Uncle Joe, her husband Jose, and their little daughter Josefina are all dead from coronavirus. You don't know if you're going to get a call from down south and say that big grandma Josephine or big Uncle D is on his deathbed in some hospital because he can't breathe and there's not enough ventilators to assist him with breathing. Right. Thou shalt have none assurance of thy life. Drop that, go back up to verse 45, Baba Kasha. 45. Deuteronomy
45.
chapter 28, verse 45.
Deuteronomy 28 and 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee.
What?
Shall come upon thee.
So what happened?
Come upon thee.
You don't want to obey the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments. So COVID-19, coronavirus, shall what?
Shall come upon thee.
Keep going.
and shall pursue thee.
And everywhere you go, you might risk the chance of getting the coronavirus.
Right.
Whether you're stepping out into your driveway, down your driveway, to your mailbox at the end of your driveway to get your mail. You don't know if you don't know if your postman or postwoman had coronavirus and coughed on your mail. Keep going.
And overtake thee.
And overtake thee. You don't know if you're going to be peeling back an orange and eating that orange, and next thing you know, someone that was in that supermarket sneezed on their hands and touched that orange. And now you're eating an orange that was contaminated with COVID-19 coronavirus, and you're eating it. You're touching it, putting it in your mouth and licking your finger because the orange juice got on your fingers, and then touching your eye because a little citrus got in your eye and it burns a little. You don't know. It shall overtake thee. Keep going.
Overtake till thou be destroyed.
Until you're in a hospital.
Till thou be destroyed.
Until you're having upper respiratory problems.
Till thou be destroyed.
Until you get that call that says your mom just died in the night due to COVID-19 symptoms.
Till thou be destroyed.
And you won't know when you will be in a truck that's being refrigerated and your body's being placed in there because there's no space, there's no room in the morgue. They can't dig enough holes fast enough in the cemetery to bury you. Right now on Ward's Island, on Randall's Island, they already have trucks, refrigerated trucks set up to put these dead bodies. Go ahead.
Ward's Island already has bodies like that?
Yep. Already have refrigerated trucks where bodies are being put to store and to be refrigerated.
So, like, if I may ask, how many people are dead from the island?
From the island, in the shelter I work at, I have no idea, but I know of several of the clients that do have coronavirus or have shown symptoms and have been forced to leave the shelter and go get quarantined in one of the Department of Homeless Services shelters that they built. They have like different hotels that they rented out to host people, homeless people who have coronavirus symptoms or who actually have the coronavirus.
Oh wow.
Keep going.
Because thou hast hearkened not unto the voice of the Most High thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee.
So listen, all this is happening for the simple fact that we didn't want to obey the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments. So instead of that, we panic and we try to buy as many Lysol sprays as we can. Instead of obeying the Most High God, we go and we try to buy all the hand sanitizer that we can. Instead of obeying the Most High God, we're trying to go out and buy all types of gloves just so that way we can protect ourselves when we go out. Because we decided that we just don't want to obey the law, statutes, and commandments of God, we have to go buy masks. So that way we can decrease the chances and the risk and decrease the spread and slow the spread of the coronavirus, when all we have to do is obey the Most High's law, statutes, and commandments. That's all we have to do. And since this is the law class, how about we learn about some coronavirus safety tips? Because I think that's a necessity. And here's tip number 1, Leviticus 15 and 19. Can you take me there, Bama Kasha? Leviticus chapter 15, verse 19. This is coronavirus safety tip number 1. Coronavirus safety tip number 1.
15 and 19?
That's correct.
Leviticus 15 and 19. And if a woman have an issue.
If a woman have a what?
Issue.
Keep going.
And her issue in her flesh be blood, she shall be put apart 7 days. And whosoever toucheth her shall be unclean until the even.
Now, this is talking about women who end up getting their period. A woman who's on her period is unclean. Everyone she touches while she's on her period becomes unclean. Everything she touches, everything she sits on, lays on, whatever, becomes unclean. Now, women who are on their period are not supposed to be entering the Christian church. You're not supposed to be entering the Muslim mosque. You're not supposed to be entering the temple or the house of the Lord, wherever it is you are. They're supposed to be separated and isolated from everyone else. Now, in this day and age, some people have 1-bedroom apartments, 2-bedroom apartments. It's very difficult to separate yourself from your woman or a female that has her period. But keep in mind, she's still not supposed to go into the church.
Right.
If she's going to church for a Wednesday Bible study and Friday uplift your soul classes and Saturday choir practice and Sunday church service, if she's going into the church on her period, she's unclean. She's making the temple dirty, defiling it, and she's making everyone that touches her, that's next to her in that temple, unclean. That's a sin. And this is a law. A woman who's on her period is unclean and is supposed to be separated from everyone else. She's not supposed to enter the temple of the Lord. Everything she sits on, touches, lays on is unclean. Now we can just follow this, and if these disgusting money grubbing and money hungry pastors would just tell women, listen, any women on their period cannot come into this place. That's the law of God. Maybe we would be spared from the coronavirus. Correct. Maybe we won't have to suffer the chances of getting upper respiratory illness or having difficulty breathing. Maybe we won't have to spend all our stimulus check on Lysol and gloves and masks. Maybe we won't have to do that. Again, this is just the coronavirus safety tip number 1. Women who are on their period are unclean and should be separated as best as they can. They should not be entering any so-called holy place, any church or mosque or Jewish temple or whatever. If they are on their period, designate a chair for them to sit on. Designate a cup for them to use. It's very wise and advisable for them to grab a pair of gloves so that way they're not making everything unclean. Use the gloves while you're opening the fridge. Use the gloves while you're touching the doorknob. Use the gloves when you're making yourself something to eat. When you're sitting down on something, put a towel over the chair you're sitting on. Take these laws seriously. Because just not following this law, you could drop dead. Remember, the wages of sin is death. For any woman that thinks that they can do whatever they want on their period with no consequences and enter into the temple and deliberately be around men of the Lord and touch them and sit on things that other people will have to sit on, the wages of sin is death. It is extremely comprehensible that it's a great possibility that you could die for breaking this law. So if you don't want coronavirus, if you don't want COVID-19, I suggest all you women and men adhere to this coronavirus safety tip number 1. If your woman is on her period, make sure you quarantine her. Make sure she's quarantined. Make sure she knows she can't come in to Sabbath service. Make sure she knows she can't enter in a room filled with other people in fear of making them unclean. That's coronavirus safety tip number 1. Let's go to coronavirus safety tip number 2. Leviticus chapter 18, verse 17. Leviticus chapter 18, verse 17. I'm going to give you all a few moments to get there. All right. Leviticus chapter 18, verse 17. Coronavirus safety tip number 2. All right. It says, "Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of a woman and her daughter, neither shalt thou take her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter to uncover her nakedness, for they are her near kinswoman. It is wickedness." Now, I know many brothers in the world, being Christians and Muslims and all that, many brothers used to brag, "Yo, I slept with this mother, and now I'm sleeping with her daughter. I had sex with both of them. I slept with the cougar, And then I slept with the babe, with the young lion. You know, I had the daughter. Now I'm trying to get the mother. That's a sin. Many of you thinking that you got a woman, right? I'm dating this woman already. She has an older son who has a daughter. She's of age, having sex with her. You can't have sex with your woman's son's daughter or your woman's daughter's daughter. That's all wickedness. You can't be bragging about how I slept with the mother. How you can't brag about how you slept with the grandmother and the mother and then the daughter. You can say that, you can't make it sound good and suave. Listen, I slept with the grandmother and then I slept with the granddaughter. I got both of them, grandmother and granddaughter. 2 generations. I just finished tapping their behinds, giving them the pipe, giving them the D. That's wickedness. That is a sin. And if we just learned not to do these things, and if we just decided not to do these things, maybe we wouldn't have to worry about COVID-19. Maybe we wouldn't have to worry about stocking up on water bottles. Maybe we wouldn't have to worry about stocking up on water filters to filter the lead and all the other garbage that might be put in the water now. Let's go down one more verse. Leviticus chapter 18, verse 18. Back. We're going to go Leviticus chapter 18, verse 18, all right? 18. So let's stop bragging about how we had sex with the daughter and the mother. Let's stop bragging about how we had sex with the grandmother, the mother, and the daughter. Let's stop bragging about it, man. All you Black, Hispanic, and Native American men, let's stop worrying. Let's stop thinking that it's something that we should aspire to do. Man, I gotta go sleep with the daughter and the mother. That's a sin. That's wickedness. You got it? Leviticus chapter 18, verse 18.
Leviticus 18 and 18. Neither shalt thou take a wife to her sister, to vex her, to uncover her nakedness, besides the other in her lifetime.
Now, this is talking about how if we're dating one woman, if we're sleeping with one woman, if we're married to one woman, we are not supposed to be sleeping with her sister. We're not supposed to be sleeping with her older, younger sister, her twin sister, her fraternal sister. We're not supposed to be doing any of that.
Right.
That's a sin. For all your brothers out there that listen, that brag about, well, I got both sisters pregnant, they both having my child, they both love me. That's a sin.
Right.
That's how you get coronavirus. That's how you tempt the Lord to give you COVID-19. That's how you get the Lord to send the death angel to get both your pregnant women who are sisters to die in pregnancy because of coronavirus, because of respiratory problems. That's a sin. That's coronavirus safety tip number 3. Don't marry sisters. Don't sleep with sisters. Don't mess around with sisters. Don't get into one sister's skirt and then get into the other one's panties. Leave them alone. Choose one sister you want and leave the other sister alone. If you want another woman, get another woman that's not her sister. That's not her mother. That's not that sister's older daughter. That's a sin. Go up to verse 16, Leviticus 18, 16.
16. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy brother's wife. It is thy brother's nakedness.
Now, this is coronavirus safety tip number 4. Don't try to sleep with your brother's woman. Right. Whether it's your biological brother, whether it's your friend that you call your brother, whether it's your neighbor that you call your brother, whether it's some cat that you know that's my brother. Yo, what up, bro? And you see he got a badass wife, a dime piece with a fat derriere and some big breasts and beautiful lips and shaped nicely. Listen, don't sleep with that man's woman. That's coronavirus safety tip number 4. Leave that man's woman alone. That's wickedness. You're uncovering his nakedness by going and sleeping with his woman. And it's called when you sleep with another man's woman, when you know that this man, when you know that the woman that you're trying to smash, you're trying to pipe her down, you're trying to blow her back out, when you know that she has a man and belongs to a man or is married to a man, you know what that's called? That's called coronavirus safety tip number 5. Let me get Exodus 20 and 14. The book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 14. We're going to learn about coronavirus safety tip number 5. All right? Whenever you got it, let me know.
Exodus 20 and 14. Thou shalt not commit adultery.
What?
Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Now, many of you may ask, well, you know, what is adultery? I don't know what adultery is. Well, we're hearing the law on Exodus 20 and 14. It says, thou shalt not commit adultery. Now, let's give you an example so that way you understand what adultery is. Let me get Leviticus 20 and 10, Baba Kasha. So remember, coronavirus safety tip number 5. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Now, let's spell it out for you. Let's paint the picture. Let's give you the best example that you can understand of what adultery is and what you should not do. Read, Baba Kasha.
Leviticus 20 and 10. And the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife.
And a man that commits adultery, which he's not supposed to do according to Exodus 20, with another man's wife. So now you know that a man commits adultery by doing something with another man's wife. Keep going.
Even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death.
Listen, when you have sex with your brother's woman, that's adultery. When you have sex with your father's new wife, your stepmother, that is adultery. When you have sex with your best friend's girlfriend, that is adultery. When you have sex with any woman that you know already has a man that she's sleeping with, that is adultery. And this is coronavirus safety tip number 5. If you do not want to die, if you do not want to suffer, if you do not want to see loved ones die and suffer from coronavirus, don't sleep with other men's women.
Right.
Don't sleep with women that you know already have a man. Don't be boyfriend number 2. Don't be that woman's side man, that side nigga. Don't be that. Because that's how you risk getting coronavirus. Now, if you adhere to this coronavirus safety tip number 5 and not commit adultery, the Lord might spare you from dying from COVID-19. The Lord might spare you from having to witness a loved one go through anguish and pain and suffering because they have COVID-19. All right? So remember, coronavirus safety tip number 5, don't commit adultery. Don't sleep with another man's woman. Don't sleep with a woman if you know she has a man. You want to say something? All right. Let's go to coronavirus safety tip number 6. Let me get Leviticus chapter 19, verse 4. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 4.
Leviticus 19 and 4. Turn ye not unto idols, nor make to yourselves molten gods. I am the Most High, your power.
That Jesus piece that you have around your neck, throw it out.
Right.
That statue of Virgin Mary, Virgin Guadalupe or whatever, throw it out. All those pictures of white Jesus that the abuelita and Grandma Joe has on their refrigerator, on their wall in the bathroom, hung up above the Bible on their bureau, throw them out. Stop praying and holding the what's it called? The crucifix and saying 10 Hail Fathers and 9 Hail Marys, or praying the rosary beads. Throw those out. Every statue of Buddha, every picture of Allah, every image that you have, any place, any statue that you have that you bought from the Botanica, throw that out. Turn ye not unto idols. Don't pray to these idols. Don't pray to St. Paul and St. Joseph and the saint for travel and the saint for luck and the angel of protection and all this. Throw that stuff out. Because if you don't, you're violating and going against coronavirus safety tip number 6, which is to turn ye not unto idols. Don't make any molded images. Don't make any molded gods, because what you're doing is you're disobeying the Most High God. You're disobeying the God of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans by praying to a Virgin Mary, by praying to white Jesus, by making an image and worshiping it, and putting gifts under a Christmas tree, and hiding different color eggs all around the backyard, and having kids hop like bunnies and finding these eggs. Cut that nonsense out. That's how you risk getting the coronavirus. That is how you risk getting COVID-19. So do yourself a favor. Obey God, obey his law, statutes, and commandments, and don't violate coronavirus safety tip number 6. Let's go to Leviticus 19. Yep. Coronavirus safety tip number 7.
11. Ye shall not steal, neither deal falsely, neither lie one to another.
You should not steal. You should not be breaking into Ray's house and stealing his Lysol and his 40-pack of Kirkland water bottle that he bought from Costco. You should not be going into your friend Maria's purse and stealing a $20 bills out of it, so that way you can go buy a Kirkland toilet paper from Costco. You should not be stealing, because when you do, you risk the chance of getting the coronavirus. You should not deal falsely with each other. You should not lie to one another. Need to deal falsely with one another. There's no need to be manipulative. There's no need to to make people to be deceivious and deceitful towards one another. There's no need to lie to one another. You risk the chance of getting the coronavirus. You risk the chance of getting COVID-19 and dying and suffering. So listen, do yourself a favor and make sure you adhere to coronavirus safety tip number 8. I believe that's number 8, right? Number 7 or 8. I'm losing track. The point is that you should be obeying the law, statute, commandments of God. And part of that is not to steal, not to deal falsely with each other, not to be manipulative, not to be deceitful, and don't lie to one another. Right. Drop that and go to verse 27. 27.
Ye shall not round the corners of your heads, neither shall thou mar the corners of thy beard.
Coronavirus safety tip number 8. All you men, it's a great thing that the barbershops are closed, because you're not supposed to be getting shape-ups anyway. You're not supposed to be shaving and lining up your beard and shaving the bottom part and only giving yourself a chin strap or a mustache. You're not supposed to be doing that. That's a sin. You're not supposed to be going to the barbershop and getting a baldy. You're not supposed to be going to the barbershop and getting a skin fade, making the bottom part skin and shaven, and then getting lighter and darker and darker. You're not supposed to be doing that. That's a sin. All you brothers out there that are getting shape-ups or still finding ways to trim your own hair, line up and box it up, round it on the back or whatever, you're committing a sin. And you're risking increasing your chances of the Lord saying, you know what? I think it's time for you to get coronavirus. I think it's time for your daughter to get coronavirus. I think it's time for your mother and your father all to die one day apart from coronavirus. Listen, if you want to violate and go against coronavirus safety tip number 8, Leviticus 19:27, by all means, you go ahead. But you're only going to suffer. You're only going to die. You're only going to perish. The people that love you, they're going to suffer because they have to witness you suffering. It's just a vicious cycle of suffering, pain, torture, and death all over again, when you could have life. When you can just obey the Lord's statutes and commandments. When you can just decide, you know what? I'm not going to get a shape up no more. I'm not going to put a razor to my forehead to line my box up. I'm not going to do that no more. Let's get coronavirus safety tip number 9. Verse 28, Baba Kasha.
Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am the Most High.
Listen, you shouldn't be actually cutting things into your flesh because you miss someone. You shouldn't be getting tattoos. Listen, I'm gonna get rest in peace, grandpa, and the inside of my arm. I'm not gonna be getting rest in peace, abuela, rest in peace, Uncle TJ. On my back, I'm not gonna get the name of my homeboy that died. I'm not gonna put a teardrop on my eye for the person I killed. You shouldn't be doing any of that. You shouldn't be cutting marks into your flesh for the dead, for anyone that's died that you love, or just because. Why would you do that? That's a sin. That's coronavirus safety tip number 9. Don't get tattoos. Don't put markings in your body for the dead. Let's drop that. Let's go to safety. Let's go to coronavirus safety tip number 10. The next verse down, number 29.
29. Do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom and the land become full of wickedness.
Now, this is a law. Lord, this is a law. I know it's tough. You never know when the next meal is gonna come. You don't know when you'll be able to go shopping for food again, do a little compra. I get it. It's tough. But the Lord said not to give your daughter up for prostitution.
Right.
I know you're fighting a drug addiction problem. I know you're addicted to heroin. I know you're addicted to cocaine, to weed, to Percocets, to Adderall, to heroin. I know you're fiending for some sticks. Listen, you still are not supposed to be selling your daughter for a prostitute. You shouldn't be letting your drug dealer have sex with your 12-year-old daughter, 9-year-old daughter, 6-month-year-old daughter, just so you can get your fix, just so you can get some money. That's disgusting and terrible, and you are unfit to be a mother. That's how you risk getting coronavirus. Doing exactly that. That is monstrous for you to force your daughter to have sex with grown men so that way you can get some money to buy some drugs. So you can get some money to buy the things that you want and look pretty and look nice. So that way you can feed your drug addiction, your alcohol addiction. That's coronavirus safety tip number 10 for all you women and men out there. Don't prostitute your daughters. Don't prostitute your sons either. Let's drop that. Let's go to Leviticus 20:6. Coronavirus safety tip number 11. Leviticus
20:6.
Chapter 20:6.
Leviticus 20:6. And the soul that turneth after such as have familiar spirits, and after wizards, to go a whoring after them, I will even set my face against that soul and will cut him off from among his people.
Listen, you shouldn't have to be asking Miss Cleo or calling up some psychic hotline, right, or going to your neighborhood psychic and asking if they can talk to your dead grandpa, your right, dead grandma, to find out where the family's will is. You shouldn't be going to no wizard, to no modern day drug dealer. You shouldn't be going to them trying to cop a bag, trying to cop a bag of some diesel 2 for $5, 2 for $15. I got the special hookup. You shouldn't be doing that. You know why? Because when you go whoring after them, when you spend your life trying to speak to your dead grandma, trying to speak to your dead uncle, trying to find out why they took your son Jojo's life too early, while you're trying to reach and talk to the dead, while you're constantly spending your baby's infamil milk money on a bag of heroin, cocaine, and crack, and some Molly and e-pills. Right. Listen, what you're doing is putting yourself in the crosshairs to get coronavirus. You're putting yourself in the line of fire to die from COVID-19. And the Lord said he'll set his face against you because you want to go a whoring and talk to Miss Cleo and talk to your neighborhood psychic and try to get in contact with your dead mom and see the local drug dealer to get the best drugs. Listen, the Lord is going to kill you. The Lord is going to give you the coronavirus. The Lord is going to give you COVID-19, and you're going to be in the bathroom all day long because you have uncontrollable and unstoppable diarrhea at the same time as you're vomiting your brains out. Let's go to coronavirus safety tip number 12, verse 27.
27, a man also or woman that hath the familiar spirit that is a wizard shall surely be put to death. They shall stone them with stones. Their blood shall be upon them.
Listen, if you were a drug dealer in ancient times, you were put to death.
Right.
Just like right now, if you're a drug dealer right now in 2020 and you're still selling drugs during the coronavirus, the Lord is going to give you the coronavirus. The Lord is going to have one of your junkies who has coronavirus sneeze on the $5 bill, sneeze on the $10 bill, hand it to you. You're going to touch it without gloves on. You're gonna put it in your counter, make sure it's real, put it up to the light, put it in your pocket. And when it comes time for you to roll your blunt and take off your face mask, you're gonna be touching that blunt and your hands right to your lips. You're gonna be rubbing your eyes, and you're gonna die from coronavirus. You're gonna get COVID-19. You want to be a drug dealer. You want to say that you can talk to familiar spirits. You want to roll your eyes back so only the white part shows, and shake and hubba and say that Uncle Jackson is speaking through you. Listen, the Lord is going to give you coronavirus. The Lord is going to have your client who has coronavirus sneeze in your face while you're busy letting some spirit into your body to speak to them. You're going to die from coronavirus. That's coronavirus safety tip number 12. Right? Let's drop that. And let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 7 and 3. Now, this one is going to hit hard for a lot of you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, especially the men. Because black, Hispanic, and Native American men love their slave masters so much. Black, Hispanic, and Native American men and women love your oppressors. You love white people so much. You love African people so much. You love the ancient culture of the Asian people so much. You love Arabs so much. You love the Indian people who practice Hindu so much that you're going to get coronavirus because you want to marry them. You want to have sex with them. You want to try something exotic. You want to be with a white guy because they treat you better than the black man or the Hispanic man, because she looks beautiful with blue eyes and blonde hair, because Asians are more submissive and easy to control than black and Hispanic loudmouth women, because you want to be with an Asian man because he knows how to respect and honor his woman. Listen, read.
John said, what verse?
Deuteronomy 7 and 3.
7 and 3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. With thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son.
If we obey this coronavirus safety tip, and we obey Deuteronomy 7 and 3, we were not allowed to have our sons marry women who are heathens. Our sons cannot marry white women, cannot marry African women, cannot marry Asian women, cannot marry Arab women, cannot marry East Indian women, cannot marry women from Poland, women from Germany, women from the Congo Republic, women from Pakistan, women from Afghanistan, women from New Zealand, women from Australia. They weren't supposed to marry them. Our daughters, our black, Hispanic, and Native American daughters weren't supposed to marry white men, weren't supposed to marry African men, are not supposed to marry Asian men, Arab men, East Indian men. They're not supposed to marry these heathen men. Where interracial marriage is a sin and an abomination according to the Most High God. It's disgusting for you to pollute your royal seed with a disgusting heathen. That's coronavirus safety tip number 12 or 13, I believe. Go down to the next verse. Verse number 4.
Verse
Let's
4.
find out. Besides us being told not to marry them, let's find out another reason why we should not marry heathens.
Verse 4, for they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Most High be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly.
So, well, listen, all you Black, Hispanic, and Native American men who just love that Chinese, South Korean, Japanese, Vietnamese, Cambodian women that going around and seeing how the Koreans are thick now. They're going around and seeing how the Japanese girls look good in skirts and the Chinese girls, they're very sweet and they dress in nice, colorful dresses. You going to marry them, you having kids with them, you know what's going to happen? You're going to end up falling in love with them and their culture.
Right.
You're going to end up falling in love with Buddha. You're going to end up falling in love with all these Hindu gods. You're going to end up wanting to burn incense and go like this to statues of Buddha and pictures of their great-great-grandfather who is nowhere related to you. Listen, you're going to end up serving their gods. And that's exactly what the Lord said not to do. The Lord said not to worship idols, not to make molten gods, and not to marry heathens, because they will make you abandon obeying the Most High God. They will get you to stop keeping his laws, statutes, and commandments. Now that's a coronavirus safety tip. Don't marry heathen women. Don't marry heathen men, because if you do, that's a sin. And when you do, they're going to end up getting you to turn away completely from following God. Let's drop that. Let's go to the next safety tip. Let's go to coronavirus safety tip number 14. Leviticus chapter 20 and 13. Leviticus chapter 20, verse 13.
Classic.
Coronavirus safety tip. We're on a roll right now.
This is Leviticus 20 and 13. If a man also lie with mankind, as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them.
Listen, if you're a man and you want to sleep with another man, the Lord said you would die. You committed an abomination, you'll be put to death. But listen, it's not just for women. It's not just for men. It's for women too. For you women that want to go and be carpet munchers and want to lick on another woman's vagina and want to reenact a scene from South Park and yell "Scissor me, scissor me," listen, you all will die as well. Your blood will be upon you. That's why AIDS, HIV are one of the biggest reasons why people in the gay community, the LGBTQ plus community are dying. But listen, you're also going to die from coronavirus. Not only will you get AIDS, but you'll also get an upper respiratory disease called COVID-19, which will make you suffer while you're trying to take your what's the Trudelia, Trulia, or whatever, or Truvada, HIV medication. You're gonna be choking on it because you can't breathe because you're dying from COVID-19. Safety tip, coronavirus safety tip number 13. Don't be a homosexual. Don't be a lesbian. That's how you get the Lord to spare you from COVID-19 and AIDS and HIV. Let's take it a step further. Let's go to Romans chapter 1, verse 26. Let's compound onto this safety tip number 13. Romans 1 and 26. Baba Kasha.
Romans 1 and 26. For this cause the Most High gave them up unto vile affections. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature.
Listen, God said that you're so disgusting and so disobedient to him that he's just going to wash his hands with you. Listen, I don't care about you anymore.
Right.
You're on the hit list for COVID-19. Right. That's it. I'm taking you from here and putting you on the list of COVID-19 victims. Right. Because what you're doing is so vile and so disgusting that women decided to go against their natural use, to go against nature. The natural use of a woman is to spread her legs open to her man, get pregnant, and have beautiful children, and raise those children to follow the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God. Now, when a woman decides to go against what's natural, she decides not to spread her legs open to a man's rod, but into a dildo being worn by another woman. When she decides not to be penetrated and get pregnant by her husband, but in fact have sex with a strap-on by her lesbian lover and get an artificial insemination and carry around a child in her belly from some white man while she's still sleeping with another woman. Listen, that's disgusting, vile, and that goes against the natural use of a woman. You're on the hit list for COVID-19. For all you Black, Hispanic, and Native American women out there that are munching on another woman's vagina, that's fingering another woman's vagina, that's letting another woman put on a strap-on and have sex with you as if she were a man, listen, you're putting yourself at risk to get COVID-19. You're putting yourself at risk to get the coronavirus. And let's take it a step further. For all you women that want to be men, that want to transition from being a female to a male, that want to go from having a vagina and ovaries to having a penis and testicles, listen, you're going against what's natural. You're going against your natural use. You just put yourself on the COVID-19 hit list. You're putting yourself in the crosshairs of the Most High, of who he wants to die and suffer from the coronavirus. Let's take it a step further. Let's go to verse 27, Baba Kashan.
Verse 27. And likewise, also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one towards another. Men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error, which was meet.
Listen, same thing goes for all you brothers out there. You want to bend over, spread your cheeks, and let another man insert his rod into your rectum and break all types of blood vessels in your anus. For all you men that want to get on your knees and suck on another man's rod and have him ejaculate all in your mouth, and oh, this is disgusting. You just put yourself in the crosshairs of COVID-19.
Right.
Not only are you putting yourself at greater risk to get AIDS, but now the Lord might see fit for you to die from coronavirus. The Lord might give you and your homosexual partner coronavirus and AIDS at the same time. So not only will you get coronavirus, but you'll also die from underlying issues, which was autoimmune disease.
Right.
Which makes sense because it's such a disgusting and vile act. Right. And you know what? For all you men that want to go from being a man to being a woman, yeah. For all you men that want to go from Daryl to Darlene, listen, the Lord is going to give you coronavirus. The Lord is going to give your mother who supports your sex change coronavirus. The Lord is going to give your little son named Zion and change his name to Zaya, like Dwayne Wade. He's going to give someone in your family coronavirus. Someone you love and hold dear is going to suffer in front of your eyes and die from coronavirus because you want to go against what is natural. You want to go against coronavirus safety tip number 13 or 14. I'm losing track at this point. Let's drop that. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 11, Baba Kashan. And let's start at verse 1. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 1.
Leviticus 11 and 1. And the Most High spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying unto them.
Now this is what the Lord told Moses to say to Aaron to tell the people. Yep.
15.
Come
on. Verse 2. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, these are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth.
Now I'm about to blow your mind, all you Christians and Muslims and people who say they believe in Jesus and God and they love God and God knows their heart. Well, listen, God gave us a strict dietary law. This is part of the reason why many blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans are getting coronavirus, because we're eating all types of stuff that we're not supposed to. Now let's find out what kind of animals we are supposed to be eating. Keep going.
Cancer. Salakia. Verse 3. Whatsoever part of the hoof and is cloven footed, and cheweth cud among the beasts, that shall ye eat.
Now any animal that has a part in the hoof that's cloven footed and cheweth the cud, these are animals that you can eat. These are animals that God said are lawful and clean for you to eat. This is coronavirus safety tip number 14. Eating things that are lawful, like eating goat is lawful because a goat chews the cud and a goat is cloven footed. Eating sheep, eating cow, eating buffalo, eating bison, heck, eating a deer, eating moose, eating a giraffe. Those are all animals that are cloven footed and chew the cud, and they are lawful to eat.
Right.
Keep going.
4. Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the hoof, as the camel, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you.
Now we're going to learn about some animals that we cannot eat because they fail to meet both criterias. Coronavirus safety tip number 15. If the animal that you're about to eat doesn't have a cloven foot and does not chew the cud, you cannot eat it. So for example, a camel chews the cud. A camel has different stomachs where it eats the food, goes into one stomach, goes into the other stomach, goes into the other stomach, or even spits it back up to keep chewing and digesting it. A camel does that, but a camel doesn't have a split hoof. A camel doesn't have a part in its hoof. A camel is not cloven footed. Therefore, you cannot eat a camel. Keep going.
John. 5. And the coney, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you.
Go down. Keep going.
6. And the hare, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you.
Now, the coney and the hare are the same thing. It's just another way to call it a different variation, a species of rabbits. Right. Because rabbits do chew the cud. You see them chewing all the time. But they don't have a cloven hoof. They don't have a part in their feet. They are unclean to you. No more rabbit stew. No more barbecue rabbits. No more having a so-called lucky rabbit's foot.
Right.
They are unclean to you. Keep going, but.
And the 7. And the swan.
The what?
The swan.
You mean bacon?
The swan.
You mean the nice roasted pernil I just took out the oven?
The swan.
You mean the pulled pork on top of my burger?
The swan.
Pigs.
Though he divide the hoof and be cloven footed, yet he cheweth not the cud. He is unclean to you.
I'm sorry to break every black man, Hispanic man, Native American man's heart. You cannot eat pig. I'm sorry to break every black, Hispanic, Native American woman's heart. You can no longer cook pig for your family. No more bacon. No more bacon wrapped hot dogs. No more bacon wrapped burgers. No more deep fried pork chops. No more breaded pork chops. No more pork tenderloin. No more pork shoulders. No more slow roasted, barbecued, hickory smoked, barbecued, pulled, shredded pork sandwiches. There's none of that. You can never eat pork. It says it right here. Because even though the pig has a split hoof, the pig doesn't chew the cud. The pig just eats everything, and it just eats and eats and eats and just eats all nasty stuff. It don't chew the cud. Safety tip, coronavirus safety tip number 15. You cannot eat pigs. Keep going.
8. Of their flesh shall ye not eat, and their carcass shall ye not touch. They are unclean to you.
So you cannot even touch the carcass of a pig. For all you people that love pork rinds, pig skin, you cannot eat that. That is disgusting and it is unclean to you. Keep going.
Count on count. 9. These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters. Whatsoever hath fins and scales in the waters, in the seas and in the rivers, them shall ye eat.
Say that again.
Whatsoever hath fins and scales in the waters, in the seas and in the rivers, them shall ye eat.
So like to Sister Shara, no, you can't even touch a dead pig. Any animal that is an unclean animal, you cannot even touch their carcass. All right. Now back to this scripture. Any animal that lives in rivers, lakes, ponds, seas, oceans, gulfs,
Right.
streams,
Right.
that has fins and scales. Again,
Right.
it needs to have fins and scales. So that means fish. You can only eat fish that have fins and scales. Those things you can eat. So that means you can eat salmon. You can eat whiting, you can eat herring, you can eat sea bass, you can eat trout, flounder, you can eat tilapia,
Right.
you can eat sardines, I believe.
God, I believe
You can eat all these different types of fish that have fins and scales. Next verse.
Concert. And all that have not fins nor scales in the seas and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you.
Keep going.
11. They shall be even an abomination unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, but you shall have their carcasses in abomination.
So that means you cannot eat catfish, black
Right.
people. All you black people, no more catfish.
Right.
Because catfish does not have scales.
Right.
For all you South Americans that love marisco so much, that love seafood so much, you cannot eat shrimp anymore.
Right.
You cannot eat lobster anymore. You cannot eat crab anymore. You cannot eat octopus anymore.
Right.
For all you Black, Hispanic, and Native American men, women, and child, say bye-bye to Red Lobster. Say bye-bye to Crab Shack, Lobster Shack, whatever you want to call it. No more seafood for you. No more octopus. No more fried Godzilla rolls made with eel. None of that. No more shrimp. No more lobster. No more catfish. No more crab. No more eel. No more octopus. No more squid.
That's right.
What else? No more shark. No dolphin. No whale. No tuna. Because tuna, you can't even see their scales to know whether or not they have scales with your own naked eye. Right. All right. And with that, we're gonna end class. Listen, there's so many coronavirus safety tips all throughout this Bible. Every single law in this Bible, every single statute in this Bible, every single commandment that the Lord gave us, that the prophets gave us from the Lord. Listen, those are all coronavirus safety tips. And if you just followed these coronavirus safety tips, if you just obeyed the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God, then this would happen. Can you go to Deuteronomy 28 and verse 1? If you all just decided, all you Black, Hispanic, Native American men, women, and children, if you all decided to obey the Lord's coronavirus safety tips, which are the law, statutes, and commandments in the Bible, the laws that he gave us, you won't have to worry about COVID-19. And this is what you would have to look forward to. Read.
Deuteronomy 28 and 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Most High thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Most High thy power will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
Listen, if we obeyed all these laws, statutes, and commandments of the Lord, we would not have to worry about the coronavirus.
Right.
We would not have to worry about COVID-19. We would not have to worry about running out of Lysol spray, not being able to wear face masks or risk getting a fine, not having to worry about running out of gloves,
Right.
or not having enough hand sanitizer. Listen, if us so-called blacks, so-called Hispanics, so-called Native Americans obeyed the God of their forefathers and followed the laws, statutes, and commandments in this book right here, we would be COVID-19 free.
Right.
We would be coronavirus free.
Right.
White people will come around us, Asian people will come around us, Africans will come around us, and they'll talk about coronavirus this and coronavirus that, and we'll say, what's that? What is that?
Right.
I don't know what that is, because no one I know has coronavirus.
Right.
No one I know has COVID-19. No one I know has symptoms. Well, actually, yeah, my friend Jimmy, but he was just coughing up a phlegm that time because he had a spit. But other than that, I don't know anyone that has coronavirus.
Right.
I don't know anyone that has COVID-19.
Right.
And that's exactly what we have to do.
Right.
I'm priest and officer of 1,000, a Shagapan of the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, holding down law class for the Hudson Valley under Officer Shalaya Allah, camp leader of the Hudson Valley, the man over Rockland County, Westchester County, Orange County, Dutchess County, Putnam County. And listen, if you are Black, Hispanic, or Native American, and you are in the Hudson Valley, the one thing that you should be doing is you should be contacting I.S.U.P.K. You should be contacting Officer Shalaya Allah or myself. You can call us at 845-445-8170. You can email us at ISUPKHudsonValley@gmail.com with any questions, comments, concerns, how you can get involved in obeying the Lord. You can contact us on Facebook, Hudson Valley Israelites. You know, you can look us up on YouTube, No Cowards Hudson Valley. All right. If you are Black, Hispanic, or Native American, and you're tired of having to worry about this COVID-19, and you want to change your life, and you want to live a life without fear, and you want to fear the Lord, this is what you gotta do. Contact us. We'll set you straight. We'll get you rocking and rolling. We'll get you and your entire family obeying these laws, statutes, and commandments. Coronavirus safety tips and all. All right. And with that, to all the brothers out there, shalom. Yahweh Bashem Yashai Brakatham. To the sisters, Yahweh Shemar Latham Bashem Yashai. This is the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General YAHANNA. And we're just doing the same thing we have been doing for decades. And that is to get all Blacks, all Hispanics, all Native Americans to start obeying these laws, these commandments, and these statutes of the Most High God. Shalom, Israel.